Hi, Brandy Crosby here with Unshakable Presence. I want to talk about a very personal topic today. What I wish I had known sooner. And I grew up in the church, and then I went away for the end of high school to go to a boarding school. And it was a very intense competitive arts academy. Um, And with this competition came challenges, mental challenges. Some of the toughest mental challenges I had faced up until that point in my life. And it was the first time that I was uh, really challenged by darkness in a way that I had not been before. Um, and it really affected me. And so I'd gotten to spend the next 20 years after that kind of unpacking like what happened, because at that point, that darkness actually got me really sick, and I could no longer uh, perform anymore. My physical body got sick, and I remember going to an appointment with a doctor. I don't remember what kind of doctor it was, but he had asked me. He said, "Well, why are you doing this to yourself?" And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And I was so offended. But it's always stuck with me. And 20 years later, I, have been in this process of unfolding and getting to this. So really the answer here is found where I'd started at church, but it's taken me some time to figure out how to put that in my own words so I can understand it. Sometimes what we read in the Bible doesn't make sense until you've lived a little life. And so if I can share, what I wish I had known sooner and kind of going through this verse then versus now, maybe it will help you. Okay, this is in the New Testament, Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." So when I used to read this, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world," I used to kind of read that like, don't bully people, don't do drugs, don't drink, don't go over the speed limit, things like that. Like those were the things in my mind that I felt like, okay, that those were the patterns of this world. I'll make sure to kind of practice and da 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 da. But ultimately, what I needed to unpack was our brains kind of lie to us. Our brains tell us stories all the time. And if we take those stories to be truth and we don't question those things, um, then we really let basically a 2-year-old kind of run our life. And let me give you the example. Like a 2-year-old is going to have a temper tantrum when they don't get what they want. They are going to have really big emotional outbursts. They are going to not be able to do for themselves because they don't know that they can, right? Um, but we can, we're not to, okay? So there's that distinction there. Um, but so that's kind of what our brains are doing. And I had mentioned this in a previous video. Byron Katie, her thing that she calls the work is about just taking a look at what's going on in our minds, and what she calls meditating on it, I call kind of anchoring in a thought, kind of a cleansing thought process. Um, Gosh, I wish I had done this 20 years ago. I wish that I had renewed my mind, and the patterns of the world were this cognitive bias, this whatever these words are that keep repeating in our brains, just trying to, I see this over here, so this must be this. I heard somebody say this, so this must be part of what I'm thinking. And and so the example for me, as I was going through the art school, is like, I'm not good enough. I have to try harder. It can't be easy. And then I had a friend get sick, and I was like, well, why did she get sick? Like, I should have gotten sick, not her. She's amazing and wonderful and helpful. I'm not. And then boom, I start to physically get sick. I literally come down with her sickness. There was a boy in our group that he had this sickness, and I'll just say it was tendonitis. Okay, and it's really, really debilitating if you get it as a musician, and it can really get to the point where, for me, I couldn't even open doorknobs. I couldn't even type a paper. It had gotten that bad. But I remember kind of being still and talking to God. And then I remember these things coming in my head, and okay, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be a flutist. Maybe I was selfish by spending all my parents' money going to this private school. Maybe I did the wrong thing by leaving my friends back in my home state to go to this boarding school. Like, all of these lies I believed, and they made me sick. Okay, so if I could go back, what I wish I knew sooner is that our minds, it's like tending a garden. We have to keep plucking those weeds. Like, we have to keep searching, like, for truth. And here's the kicker here, is that if it's not loving and full of joy and peace, then it's not truth, and you haven't gotten far enough, right? So if you are believing these things about yourself, you've got to go deeper. Okay? You've got to renew your mind. Okay, you've got to go through this process of inquiry. Okay, this thought that I'm having, I'm not good enough. Is that true? No. Is it absolutely true? Well, it is absolutely not. I am a great flute player, right? And who am I without this thought? Well, goodness, I'm an amazing flute player. Well, wouldn't I choose that thought, right? And so by the renewing of your mind, then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. And for me, going through this suffering and not even having a clue that I could have any kind of a mastery over the words that were in my head, that my identity wasn't the words in my head, that my identity was the redirecting, whatever that feeling, the loving, the joyful, the peaceful, that is of God. Recentering in that, I would have healed. And in fact, the summer that I healed was full of love, joy, and peace. I went to a 10-week camp. It was a flute camp where 2 hours in the morning we did a big master class. I think there were about 10 flutists, and everybody kind of took turns playing the things. We learned a new, like, finger doolally every week that we were to memorize. And then the only thing else that we had in that day was a 30-minute meeting or 30-minute lesson with a teacher. And I'm so grateful for this teacher because the teacher was giving me a gift that I didn't know to unwrap until recently. In these lessons, he would notice my distress and my suffering. He'd say, why don't you just lay down, put your feet up on a chair, and just talk? I literally did that for most of the lessons in that 10 weeks. And that was a gift. He gave me his presence, and his non-judgment. And that was the first space that I had experienced with a teacher where I could feel seen and heard and not be pressured to perform. And ultimately, what he was doing was teaching me how to be peaceful, teaching me how to be still. And at the end of that summer, my tendonitis was gone. And I didn't understand why until I started studying the brain and studying all the things, like what just happened, because I want to be able to reproduce it, because I certainly couldn't work a full-time job and just have lots of and I had downtime, guys. I had like 2.5 hours of commitment during the weekdays for 10 weeks. When else in my life am I going to have that kind of downtime as an adult? But there was something very special in that time that I wasn't ready to unpack. And so I started having one job after another job, after another job, after another job. And I kept the frustration and the anger and the not good enough. And I actually revisited this whenever I attended Samurai Camp through a company called Clemmer and Associates. The first time I went through Sam Camp, I failed miserably. And I was like, what? I'm a successful person. How can I not just do 4 goals and achieve them in 10 weeks, 7 weeks, however long it was? How could I not? And I not only failed, like I crashed. And my husband was worried about me. It was not good. And then I got to unpack, okay, what in the world? What was I doing to myself? I was still not being nice. I didn't know how to be. And they talk about all of these things there. I was so grateful for that. And I'm going through SAM Camp again. It's short for Samurai Camp. We call it SAM Camp. But I get to practice who is it that I want to be and all of this. And thus started my unshakable presence. I'm like, guys, I am so grateful for these things because, hey, what I wish I knew sooner. Maybe this is at a perfect time in your life where you're like, gosh, I am really suffering right now. Are you telling me I don't have to suffer? You telling me I can be free? I wish I knew that sooner. And guys, let me tell you, as a flute player, I rejoined a flute choir and I am loving it. I am loving playing. I am loving the challenge of changing up my vibrato. It's not like I have to have it just right. It's like, oh, let me feel it this way. And then I'm so present while I'm playing now in a way that I have never been in my life because I have learned how to renew my mind. And I'm so grateful for this. Okay. I think we have a guest. Come here, Mary. So before I end the video today, I'm gonna say hi. Say hi, guys. Hi. Look who's being present with me. It's Mary, and I love her. All right. Well, what I wish I knew sooner. Okay. Hope this is a blessing to you all. God bless.